And that problem is actually very quantifiable. 50% of STEM majors don't get their degrees as undergraduates. 50%, okay? Beyond that, high tuitions don't align well with the needs of students. They need to dive right into jobs after the fact, and they can't get those jobs unless they have hands-on skills and can apply those skills right away. And traditional institutions face new problems. New problems meaning competition from Coursera, from Udemy, from the very courses here on Stanford on YouTube. Okay? Now that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a fantastic thing. But if students can't make the most of their courseware, we really do have a problem. Fortunately, betaversity offers a solution. And that solution is pretty straightforward. We want to give students the chance to learn by doing, to get hands-on with what they're learning, especially in their engineering and science courses, and then to apply that learning in the real world right away. And this is the graphic representation. It's obvious that if you sit in a lecture hall all day, you're not going to absorb as much as you possibly could if you learn by doing and if you teach others in a real-world environment. So let's go through what our products are. First, we have BetaBox. BetaBox, and this is actually the real-world example. This is our prototype in North Carolina being used by customers today, is a shipping container-based creativity lab. We have, and I'll pass this around to the judges and everyone.
This is so cool.
I heard it's so cool. That's awesome. We have 3D printers, we have laser cutters, we have electrical engineering equipment, and a huge whiteboard. And we've also thought of some of the more detailed side. For instance, there's sound-absorbing material under all of the furniture. It's a quiet room. We have HVAC. That's just the kind of stuff that shows we're trying to think about the details as well as the solutions. BetaBox leases for just $10,000 a month and can be purchased outright by universities or high school districts for about $60,000. Next, for the bigger customers, BetaSpace. BetaSpace is a physical space on a university campus. It contains everything that the D-School contains, condensed into a single room. Students can start at a whiteboard, prototype out their idea over lunch, have the 3D print ready by dinner, and by the evening, they can film a pitch video, put it on YouTube, and have administrators and alums watch that pitch video and get excited about their product. Finally, Betaverse. This is how we tie everything together. This is our software platform, our main revenue generator. For just $20 a month, any of our BetaBox or BetaSpace customers can subscribe to Betaverse, and their students can connect with peers not only at that university, but across the country. Furthermore, educators can push content out to universities anywhere. Our market size is pretty significant. Aside from the staggering $1.2 trillion spent by the United States each year for education, we've identified approximately $300 million that goes toward innovation and similar spending. That's what we're targeting, and we think by next year, we'll have at least $10 million of that market. Very conservative estimate at this point. Market segmentation is equally simple. Right now, we'll start with universities, and as we gain a foothold in high school districts using BetaBox, we'll expand out further. Our breakdown, just very visually, a lot of the revenue will initially come from BetaSpace and BetaBox, and as we move into the future, we'll try to create more content and create more value without having to charge the universities as much. Initially, some of the sponsorships will also make it easier for universities to acquire these wonderful spaces. Our business model is straightforward. Get the foothold with BetaBox, push the customers to BetaSpace when they realize the value we can provide, and then make sure that there's huge lifetime value with Betaverse. Does that make sense to everyone so far? Yeah. Yes? Excellent. Okay, that's good. We're not quite done. I have about 30 seconds to wrap up. So market adoption is equally straightforward. Sponsors love us, universities love us, but most important of all, students love us. Students push for this on their campuses. We have the biggest grassroots movement potential in history for education. And we have competition, but right now we're the only one doing this specifically for universities and not for corporations. We have significant competitive advantages, and we're going to integrate vertically, and a team that has years of experience in industry, in education, and selling these very same products. And I think I'm exactly on time. I'd love questions from the judges and also from anybody else. Thank you so much.
First, thank you. This is brilliant.
Thank you.
Second, do you have plans for going global after you've gone in the U.S., and if so, do you have target countries in mind?
Yes, so we want to start with South America, actually, going globally. And from there, we want to push into Europe. And we think that BetaBox, more than any of the other customers, could be a boon to China and to some African countries.
I agree. One more last question. Are
Yes.
you currently working with Noodle, or at least have you met them?
No, we're not. I know of them.
Okay,
Should
so
we be?
we'll go offline with that.
Sounds good.
To my colleague.
Okay.
Like, I guess, great presentation. The question I really have is, I think you identified the problem up front that, 50% of STEM students drop out.
Yes.
But you didn't quite talk about why the problem of their dropping out is really directly related to what BetaBox is trying to do. Because,
Great.
hey, it could be that it's just too hard for half of them.
Right. That's
so
exactly what we thought.
Yes.
So we did a survey of over 1,000 students across the country, all undergraduates in STEM tracks. And it turns out that about 5% of them are thinking that it's too hard. It's genuinely too difficult. But the rest of them that say, I may or may not drop out in the next 6 months, which is the indicator of dropout, say, I have all these ideas, I really like the classes, I really like what I'm learning, I can't apply it hands-on. And it was funny, we had the write-in section for surveys, which nobody ever uses. Everybody used it. I can't apply hands-on. I have ideas, I want to make them, I can't make them on my campus. I don't know where to go to make these ideas on my campus. I can't work with friends outside of class to make my ideas happen. That's why we're doing this. That's a fantastic point.
I guess if there aren't other questions, or
Please,
I guess
yeah.
you were going to
Go
go
ahead.
first. No, I was also going to say, the other thing that I did not quite get a good sense for was sort of the bottoms-up sense of the market. So
Yes.
obviously the market is very large,
Right.
but if you really look at universities, the scale of the STEM problem and
Yes.
how BetaBox addresses it or competitors address it,
Right.
what does that mean for a university size of 10,000 or 50,000? How many BetaBoxes are sufficient? For the STEM students involved, what does that translate into as a bottom-up market opportunity as opposed to a top-down?
Okay, so if I understand correctly, how are we going to get started beyond just the very big picture?
Or even at a university like Stanford,
Sure.
what would be the opportunity for the, both the BetaBox hardware plus software?
Great. So for a university like Stanford, in fact, for most universities, you've kind of hit the nail on the head. We want to go directly to beta space, right? We want to go directly to the product that's physical, that will have a lasting presence. And then, of course, we want to supply our software so that that space can thrive and can connect with other spaces. So there's instantly a network externality value. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, a little bit good.
It's all right. I have almost the same question.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about how you've gotten started? You named a few customers.
Yes.
What are they? What's the arrangement with them? How are you finding them? And what's your plan for building?
Sure.
The rollout of BetaBox, BetaSpace, and the software platforms?
That's a great question. The team and I put together our proposal after meeting just over a year ago. We actually met first here at the D School and then again, coincidentally, in Washington, D.C. at another entrepreneurship conference. And we realized you can build biotech labs. You can order those. You can build dance studios and have people come and dance in them. But you can't make a place for creativity. That's something that either evolves naturally or never really coalesces. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to build the equipment in. We wanted to bring the culture in and make that happen.
And with, say, UC Davis, for instance,
Yes.
what's the arrangement, and how did you get started with UC Davis, and why Davis, why Chapel Hill, why not other places?
Right, so we have one co-founder in California, and he knew people at UC Davis. We have one in North Carolina who knew people at Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Neither are students there, but networks in the area. UC Davis was a great example. They had money to spend, and they also had grants that they wanted to apply for. In exchange for us applying for those grants for them, we were able to put together the initial 1,000 square foot space. It cost just below $100,000, and was quite successful. It's grown month over month use-wise.
So that's actually a beta space.
It's a full beta space.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about marketing. What are these, the beta box or beta spaces on campus, and what?
Oh, sure. So once we have the BetaBox beta space on campus, BetaBox really should be a transitional product. That's something we want for a week to a month on campus. We want students milling in and out. And then beta space is something that should almost self-market. We found that it does develop an ecosystem within it. We even put signposts in our beta spaces with directions to different resources on campus, which instantly makes it kind of a hub. Pre-sale marketing, though, and I think that's the really interesting part. Two things that we're doing. First, we partner with sponsors like Microsoft, like Verizon Wireless, who really have a need to get a presence on campus. In fact, we have a Verizon Wireless 4G LTE hotspot in each of our beta boxes that they've sponsored. So you literally plug it in, internet enabled, starts working. And we're also going to work with a company, either USeed or just Kickstarter, so that students can crowdfund some amount of the money to get a beta box on campus initially. It's a barrier to entry, there's no doubt. You know, universities are slow to adopt, but if there's pressure from the university customer, which is very much the student, then it tends to move forward pretty quickly. Yes?
Pipeline for sponsors as you go global. Who would be a target list of potential companies that would like to take you to Latin America and Europe?
Absolutely. So tech companies are the obvious choice. Companies that can recruit directly from
Names.
Microsoft, Yahoo, companies that need to build images. AT&T came up yesterday, actually, in the mentoring session.
And the carriers in each country. The carriers in each country.
The carriers in each country.
Wireless carriers in each country that you want to enter can be very important partners.
Ooh, that's interesting. Thank you. Very neat.
Is there more time?
Mm-hmm.
How much more time?
4 minutes.
What's missing? Who's playing what role, and then who will you add next, and why?
That's a great question. Right now, we have academic, we have product.
How about Lucas does X?
Lucas,
Sean?
absolutely. So Lucas does academic, tremendously skilled with sales and grant applications, and knows how to move through the academic pipeline, which is crucial. Sean does product design, knows how to design beta box, beta space, and knows how to make it a continually adopted product once it has its place on campus. I handle marketing and initial sales. I do like that kind of speaking thing. Lance will take over as head of product as Sean moves to much bigger picture operations, right? And right now we have a fantastic designer. We have a fantastic electrical engineer who will help us with our vertical integration. We have an architect who actually did that model right there and is going to work to make BetaBox even more efficient to produce. And then Dr. Tina Seelig here at Stanford is an advisor.
Talk a little about the logistics of the company, creating this from idea to getting it on campus.
Yeah.
Or the box or the space.
Right. So right now, it takes us, given the one box that we have, about 5 weeks to produce an entire shipping container-based creativity lab and then get it to the campus.
And where does that take place at? Is it you guys do it yourself?
We do it ourselves. We have a partnership with both a warehouse and a distributor, a trucking company in North Carolina. So we're able to assemble everything inside the warehouse and then truck it out for a very good price.
And how do you see that scaling as you go forward as a company?
That's a great question. So we'll have 3 distribution centers within 6 months. We'll have one in North Carolina, one in St. Louis, where I'm currently located, and one out here in the Bay Area where the other founder is located. Yes?
You mentioned that you have air conditioning.
Yep.
How do you handle very cold winters?
Very cold winters. We do have a space heater inside the box.
I'm talking about, like, if you go to Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, which are places that I think would be very interesting.
Right. We may have to avoid those countries until we have a slightly more robust box. Hopefully the customers at those countries, we found that the best way to get into the market initially is to establish a beta space. Go to one of the universities, find space on their campus.
So maybe the electric utility is also a partner.
I like that.
Sounds like one other question. I guess we're running out of time, but
Yes.
you'll let me know. But in the early deployments, the one deployments, how are you paying attention to, beyond the early excitement, what's the continued value that people continue to get from both the software, even if the hardware is just an entry point to the software?
Sure.
How do you maintain this return on investment sort of idea for the university and the students?
Absolutely. So a touchscreen TV is really the simple example. We make sure that each one of our spaces has a large touchscreen with video camera that's always online. So you can walk up to that and see people using spaces across the country, different boxes, different spaces. And that's good, just tangible value. It makes you feel as though you're part of a network that you are. But also we intend to move not just from student-student collaboration to educator-student. Imagine what you could do if you had a Coursera course that was taught in one of our spaces. No longer is it just, okay, now use the Wikipedia page and maybe fill in this essay. Suddenly it's, hey, go to the prototyping station, build this out. You have a 3D print running that should be ready in about 30 seconds. Go grab that, put it all together.